myself and like all my weak points in that moment. And I was like, is this okay, God? Like, can I be with you in this way? And all I got was just like a simple, of course, when I was praying about it. And that like touched my heart so deeply in a way that it was never really touched before in my relationship in faith. And that was really amazing. And throughout the rest of the day, I felt like just like this overwhelming kind of calmness and just willingness to just go with whatever's going on. And it was really wonderful. Like there was like singing holy songs on the boat and everyone was like chiming in. It was like great unity that day. And then the third week rolled around and that divine inspiration just started to fade and trickle away again, right? And it's like usually you have that like one big God experience and like boom, like that's the testimony, victory, boom, we're done, we made it, right? And I thought that's what was gonna happen. Like, oh yeah, I'll just like carry this to the end of the program and I'm gonna be like God's son and I'm gonna freaking do everything right and just all gonna be great, right? But that frustration came back and that judgment came back. And eventually what I realized with this captain is that the problem was that I was imagining myself in his position and trying to, and I was basically comparing myself to him and thinking, oh, I could do better if I was in his position. And of course, like in some ways that's not objectively true, right? Like of course he's got way more experience on the ocean, on the boats, all that. But just like in how we internally responded to things and like certain character qualities, I was like, I got this down so much more. I'm like 40 years younger than, like what's going on here, right? And then this realization hit me where it was like, I'm telling myself that I'm putting myself in his shoes, because I was like, it's something you're supposed to do, right? Understand, like see from God's perspective, all that. But I can't. Like not just because like my heart is blocked, but because it's literally impossible. Like I can say like, oh, if I was in his position, like I can kind of get where he's coming from. But the reality is he was born 60, 70 years ago. He had his own parents, his own lifestyle, his own challenges, all these different things that he was like born and raised with, all these problems that as much as I can try to understand, I simply can't because I haven't experienced it myself. And so even though that didn't necessarily put my heart at ease in the moment, I felt like I could at least have this baseline patience where it's like, okay, I'm frustrated with this person, I feel these negative emotions, but that doesn't mean they're not worthy of love, despite all of that, right? And even if I can't see why they're worthy of it, God does. And I can just like bank and try to put my faith in that. And so, yeah, I think it was one of those, it's an interesting situation that happened to me out there in Alaska where I think oftentimes we think so much about our victories, but we don't think about the day after our victories, right? When we have to keep on going through the same challenges that we thought we overcame just like that. And I think what I came to conclude on with all of that is that nothing is ever going to like land perfectly. Like even when we have our successes, there will be failures after. But that's not a reason to feel discouraged, but rather it's more of a moment to like really reflect more deeply on like, oh, why do we struggle here? What can we do to still overcome even though we thought we already did? And I think it really instilled me like a kind of humility where I appreciated that. Like I can't just saw something the first go and then never address it again. You know, this is like a life of faith. It's not a day of faith, a week of faith, a month of faith. I'm sure some of y'all have heard that on GPA. And so, yeah, I guess like the thing I just want to leave y'all with is that like, even when it's a day after a victory, a day after like a great deep realization, there's still going to be challenges. And that's not something to shy away from, but rather I think it's an opportunity to learn more about yourself and to continue to deepen your life of faith. And really just develop your potential and continue to strive for the best person you can be, even when you feel like you gave it your all, because you're a different person than the person you were yesterday, right? So yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Limas. That was beautiful, honestly. I want to go to Ocean Challenge as well. They do it every single year, so if you want to join, go ahead. Yeah, I'm inviting you to. Oh, Patrick, you're going? Yeah, Patrick, you're going. Let's do it. Yeah. No, but I think it's really beautiful what he's saying, right? Like challenges are opportunities. Even after a victory, if you fail, it doesn't mean that you have to stop there. Like growth is not a straight line up. You go up and down, up and down. So thank you so much for sharing, Lemus. Now we'll go into our main message of today. We're gonna, well, I'll give her a quick introduction. She is originally from California, but she was gone for 4 years. She was over in Waseda University in Japan. If you guys don't know Waseda, that's the university where True Father went to study electrical engineering. So it's important, right? No, but yeah. So she did 1 year of GPA, but she couldn't do it. She couldn't continue it, although she wanted to. And then this past year, she finished advanced. So let's welcome up Hana Tachiri.
Where are you gonna be? Where are you gonna be for time? Where are you gonna be for time? Good evening, everybody. Yes, thank you so much for the introduction, Jacob. Yes, so I'll be giving the main message today. My name is Hana Tachiiri, and if you don't know me, yes, I'm from California, moved to New York last year, so there's some unfamiliar faces in the crowd, but yes, I'm very happy to see all of you tonight. Thank you for coming. Today I'll be talking about a day in the life with HPTP. And to go over the agenda, oh, thank you. Yes, that'll be helpful. Okay, yes, these are some of my pictures from my time in Waseda, doing advanced. I studied abroad in Korea, so Korea Carp, etc. So yes, so for my agenda, I'm going to just go through the worst period of my life to our vow of commitment, how I invite HPTP into my day, and how living with HPTP is to essentially grow, and teaching about the mindset, what would HPTP do? Introducing my favorite God's words. When I look back, it was all love, and some final thoughts that hopefully every one of you can grasp. And so, actually, before that, I have a question for all of you. So if I were to ask you if you can pinpoint the exact month and year where your life drastically changed for the better or for worse, are you able to think of a date? Give you a couple seconds. Who can think of a date right now? This month, this year. See, a lot of us also are pondering. I can also raise my hand straight up. Actually, if I were to pinpoint it, it would be, boom, the worst period of my life was October 2020. I received news that I could not do a second year of GPA. And yes, I was COVID year, and I was in CIG training, so I was going to become a missionary. But due to some circumstances, I was not able to continue. And I felt very misunderstood, hurt, heartbroken, betrayed, a lot of negative emotions into one. But ultimately, I was very heartbroken because doing GPA for 3 years was the life direction that I have always prepared and set my mind to since middle and high school. I wanted to invest for the sake of my parents' blessing that wasn't working well. I wanted to invest for the sake of my family. I wanted to prove Heavenly Parent and True Parents that I was serious about this faith, all of these reasons. But this opportunity vanished from my hands. And I thought I was always able to grasp it and hold on to it. And afterwards, after having a huge mental breakdown, crying and causing a scene back at home, my dad was going on a business trip to Japan that week, and he had a vision from Heavenly Parent to send me to Japan with him. And so I did. I lived by myself with my grandma for 6 months in Osaka, Japan. But it was the loneliest 6 months of my life. I was completely by myself. My friends were on GPA, and they weren't allowed to talk to me, and all I was feeling, although I'm Japanese, I'm completely by myself, right, in this new environment, trying to digest what went wrong, what happened. And I was very confused and resentful towards Heavenly Parent and True Parents, because if they are all-knowing, they should have known that all my life, all I just wanted to do is to invest for the sake of providence. But why did this happen for me, even though I felt like I was, quote-unquote, a pretty good BC all my life, being connected with the church, etc., etc. But through seeking Heavenly Parents' guidance, over time, not overnight, used the pain to connect more with them and redefine to myself what does life of faith truly mean. I was thinking about how True Father was in Korea in the early days and that he only started off with like a mud hut for a church. And he was practicing to maybe 3 to 4 people sometimes for a sermon. He wouldn't have imagined that it would go to a worldwide movement and every single one of you are here because of True Parents and Heavenly Parent. And I was thinking about True Mother, who went through a 7-year course of just being constantly misunderstood, constantly ignored, and constantly forgotten, which I felt, of course, maybe not to that scale, but in the same position. And yes, if you could see, that's a selfie of me. I was bedridden for months. I could not get out of bed. I was so depressed. I was so sad. And before, I thought a life of faith meant, yeah, sure, like a daily life of traditional rituals, such as hundake, prayer, attending Sunday service to serve Heavenly Parent and True Parents. Essentially, pretty traditional, but also like a relationship between a servant and a Lord, where I thought I had to always do good, good, good in order to be accepted and to be considered good. But afterwards, I realized and I redefined my definition of life of faith to understanding and having absolute faith that Heavenly Parent and True Parents are working even when everything is stripped away from you. Do you know the story of Job in the Bible? He got everything stripped away from him. And yet he still had to persevere and have faith that Heavenly Parent had a plan for him. And that story has also helped me through this day. So I redetermined myself on February 1st, 2021, to commit to Heavenly Parent and True Parents, not the institution, not the church members, but to Heavenly Parent and True Parents and Principal, the unchanging and eternal. That no matter what happens, no matter how hurt I'll be in this movement, no matter how much pain I would receive, I would still commit because that's what they did, right? So I committed on 2121. And I decided to customize and create my personalized life of faith, trying to transition from this transactional relationship to a more parent and child relationship where I can just become fully myself and just invite Heavenly Parent and True Parents as if they're right here. They're right here, of course, internally, but physically. So these are some of the categories I was working with. For example, in faith, naturally through GPA and through CARP or through other life of faith training, I'm sure you can all invite Heavenly Parent and True Parents into prayer, hundake, or conditions, or like asking for a message. Heavenly Parent and True Parents, what is your message for me today through this Sunday service, through this hundake, whatnot? Or my social life, I always offer a couple-minute prayer before I hang out with my friends because I really want to pray for, of course, safety and whatnot, but just so that Heavenly Parent and True Parents can be with us and enjoy this happy time that His children is spending together, and to also love them as Heavenly Parent and True Parents does. And at work, they say that GPA is front lines, but actually every environment is your front lines afterwards. And work is one of my common front lines. So really praying to be a vessel of Heavenly Parent and True Parents' love wherever I go, expanding my capacity to love because sometimes we are not so nice to each other. And mentally, I'll offer up any emotion to Heavenly Parent and True Parents, something as innocent as, oh, thank you so much, Heavenly Parent and True Parents. A Chiikawa item was on sale. You know I love Chiikawa. Or versus, oh my gosh, I'm having such a bad day. Everything is going wrong. I didn't fail my exam. I didn't get to hang out with my friend, blah, blah. Just being really honest. Because Heavenly Parent and True Parents know anyway. And also thanking HPTP whenever I'm grateful, whether it's for good or for bad. And one of my favorites is just inviting them to mundane decisions. One of my favorite mundane decision making is with Heavenly Parent and True Parents is I always ask every day, God, what should I wear today? Even today. So God gave me a fit that's also very comfortable, appropriate for home base. And yeah, so what should I eat today? What should I wear? And I feel like every time God creates a fire fit or God creates a good recipe for me. And I always feel a lot of love through that. And yeah, if you could see some of my pictures, I was a resident assistant back in Japan for like a year. So I had to be a representative of HBTP during that, or like, that's one of my students right there. And I was doing a thesis for Waseda, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I was able to finish it thanks to HPTP. And I want to introduce one of the God's words that means a lot to me, and that is why I was inspired. It's from Hyojin Moon, and he said, when you talk about individual perfection, to me it's an awareness of me, myself, that I exist with God, that I have a relationship with God. Whatever that I believe God to be that keeps me good, I'll forever continuously understand more in depth and breadth. And basically, I can summarize it to defining the first blessing, individual perfection, to living with Heavenly Parent and true parents 24/7. They're always with you and always on your mind, and you're always invite them into whatever you do. And I noticed a difference between inviting HBTP into my life versus not living with them intentionally, and how that connects to growth. An example is, I was working as a private tutor teaching English 101 to children, and every time I start a shift, I would usually pray, offer a 3-minute, 4-minute prayer, making sure that I can really help be the vessel, be the older sister for my for my younger students, my younger brothers and sisters, so that I can really be able to teach them what they need, whatnot. And the times where I did pray, the students were much easier to work with. My students are from 3 to 11, so very rambunctious sometimes and rebelling. But usually go well, even if I went empty-handed. I arrived at the door, I didn't know what I was going to do for 90 minutes. But Heavenly Parents always guided me. Versus when I was like late because I was running from class or something, and I forgot to do a prayer, or it was really rushed and it wasn't really heartful, the kids would usually act much more difficult. And I felt like even myself, I wasn't able to have as much patience or as much understanding. And so I realized, wow, it's so important to invite Heavenly Parents, because once you do, you can start seeing from their perspective and thinking about what would HPTP do in these situations. So this is the type of mindset that I also practice to inherit for the past couple of years during both the easy and difficult times. It's easy when you feel love, because when you receive love, naturally in this movement, you're told to give love to others, right? Once you feel it, you can give it, and so that you can create a positive ripple effect on the individual, family, social, national level, and whatnot. And expressing gratitude for the happiness you feel is easy once you are actually grateful. You're not trying to force yourself. Or it's easy to recognize and appreciate the sources of God's love when you feel like your heart is overfilling with that. Then you start to notice, wow, the weather is so good today. Thank you so much for not letting it rain while I'm walking home. Or thank you so much, I really had a nice conversation with someone I don't really speak with. Thank you. But but the tricky part is when you don't feel love. So when you don't feel loved, what would you do? Actually, during the difficulties, that's when Heavenly Parent and Satan always looks at you, because it's a test of your character. What would you do? And I heard from an older brother or sister in Japan when I was in CARP that whenever you don't feel loved, actually love first. Naturally, you don't want to love. You want to resort back to your home or just being by yourself. But actually, loving first will help you get more fulfilling love instead of finding it in the wrong places. Because the nature of give and take action is you give love first. So whenever I don't feel loved, or I feel like very lonely or very hurt, I try to give a compliment to someone, or I try to do a deed, a service for somebody, or I make something for someone to cheer up their day. And when I see their reaction, it really makes my heart happy that I was able to make someone happy. And that's exactly what Heavenly Parents do. Even if they're hurt, even if they're completely tired, depleted of energy, they would still give their 100%, right? Or I also express honesty that whenever I don't feel love, usually I will try to seek love, or I will try to understand what is God trying to teach me. But sometimes it's hard. I tell Heavenly Parent straight up, God, I don't feel love right now. I'm sorry, but can you please make it obvious that you're still there for me, and that you still believe in me, and that you still love me? And without fail, Heavenly Parents always gives me a sign somehow, whether it's through a conversation, whether it's through nature. I always feel that the reminder is always given in a way that's easy for me to understand because my parents understand me. And also, whenever you don't feel love, everyone can go back. You can all go back to your source of God's love. I'm not saying it always has to be Sunday service or hundekke or conditions that works for you best. Of course, that's great, but I know for a lot of people, it's sometimes just prayer or songs or nature or conversations with people. And that's what's important. It's to connect with what you feel like you feel most genuine and authentic in your relationship with God. Where do you feel love? How do your parents love? Your parents love the most. And then I want to introduce another quote. It was from a prayer from Heavenly or from True Father. When I look back, it was all love. Father, you are love. You who put me behind steel bars, prepare for me the standard of a situation filled with joy. And when I think that it was in order to give me a position of inheritance, in order to give me blessings, now that it is over, I see that everything was love and was a touch of your expansive generosity, True Father. I heard this in a workshop when I was in Japan, 21-day workshop. And I felt like this quote really struck me because even throughout my life, aside from the whole GP situation, I felt like my life has been full of obstacles and challenges. I didn't have an easy upbringing or household, but it felt like when I look back, actually, it was all beautiful. And for example, with the GPA decision, I was so distraught that I couldn't do GPA, and because I wanted to captain. Actually, they rejected me as captain, and then they put me in CIG, and I gave up on the idea of captaining. But actually, 5-6 years later, I became on advance. One of the first tasks for us to do was to captain kickoff on NGM, and so I was able to captain 4.5 or 5, one assistant, but 5 younger brothers and sisters, and it felt like it was God's pat on the back for me, like, hey, I didn't forget about what you wanted, and that I felt very seen. And if that GPA decision didn't happen, I wouldn't have gone to this school. Although it was lonely going overseas by myself as an American VC, I was able to experience a lot of new life. I was able to meet brothers and sisters in Japan while in CARP, and I was able to study abroad, go to Korea, then visit Korea CARP, and get connected with people there. I was able to work and dance, do a lot of experiences, but it's all because I underwent one of the most difficult decisions of my life, but still trusting Heavenly Parent and True Parents. And that is why I want to emphasize that even if you don't see it now, Heavenly Parent and True Parents are always working in your favor, and as long as you are able to believe in it. And so if I were to leave you with, it says one point, I know there are multiple, but if I were to leave you with some of the messages, I hope that you can learn that living with Heavenly Parent and True Parents will, of course, contribute to your internal growth, but you will learn to digest and interpret experiences in a more meaningful way. And for my case, rejection is redirection. That was one of my main takeaways, but how it opened doors for me too. Sometimes a challenge that you may have right now, as long as you can think of it from a bigger perspective, actually this could be a stepping stone, this could be connecting to something greater, then you will have more positivity and faith to keep you pushing forward. And 2, Heavenly Parents are your parents who have your highest interest and happiness in mind. And so they're always guiding you regardless if it is easy or difficult to see or witness. For example, I was able to captain just like I wanted 6 years ago. And there are also multiple examples I can go on, but Heavenly Parent and True Parents are always with you and they know you best. But your plan is, even if you think your plan will reach you to the utmost happiness, actually there might be another plan by different means that might challenge you a little bit, but will always be fulfilling in the end. And ultimately, working towards the first blessing will help you grow to become a better individual so that you can become a better sibling, better daughter, better son for your parents, but also for you to become a better spouse, connecting it to the second blessing, right? A better spouse so you can become a better parent to your future family and your better ancestors for your descendants. And I wanted to remind all of you that heavenly parenting parents are always, always working in your life, even if you don't see it. If you were to tell me in October 2020 that I was able to go to Waseda, I was able to go to Korea University, I was able to do advanced, even help out with NGM, move to New York. You know, I didn't have a place to stay after undergrad when I graduated last year, which is why I was in Bridgeport like 2 months, for those of you who know. But yeah, so advanced, I was able to do advanced, and now I was able to have a home, kind of semi-permanent home. Everything works out is something that I wish I would have told my younger self. And maybe your future self is telling you that too. So I know it's usually you have to see things to believe, like you have to see a ghost in order to believe that ghosts are real or whatnot. But actually, for heavenly parents' case, you have to believe first to see. You have to believe that heavenly parents are working, and then suddenly your circumstances or your way of thinking can finally start to turn clogs, and you can start to see a bigger perspective. So that's kind of my message for tonight. I love all of you. Heavenly Parents loves all of you. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.
Keep going, keep going. Thank you so much for your message, Hannah. It really reminds me of that phrase, hindsight is 2020. You know, like when you look back, you realize like God has been working through your entire life. So thank you so much for all your lessons, Hannah. So now, since we receive our message, I want to give us a little bit of time to reflect and also to pair share about this whole message. So one question I would ask you guys to discuss about is, what would be one habit that you want to practice in order to live more intentionally with Heavenly Parent and your parents? So just one habit that you want to practice from now on to live more intentionally with Heavenly Parent and your parents. So we'll have just 5 minutes to pair share. You can just talk to the person beside you. So yes, let's get into that. Thank you. Thank you, Coach. On the what? On the podium?
everyone, and just worship God during this time. Anything you took away from the testimonies, just practice it right now. Practice it right here in this room. Light of the world. Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes, let me see.
other in unison prayer. Pray about whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your mind. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be as raw and vulnerable as you want it to be. But let's all join in unison prayer. Repeat after me. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day, let incense arise. Day and night, night and day. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You are worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. I'm not forsaken, never alone. Calls me his own. He's not just seated upon the throne. I know he's right here treasure here in my heart, and in my weakness it won't depart. I'm not just Savior who will abide. He's not just with me, He lives inside. Just go ask Daniel, our God will bring you out, and He will testify. He shuts the lion's mouth. Go ask those Hebrew boys if He'll stick by your side. They will identify the fourth man in the fire. They'll tell you, oh, He's in the room. Oh, He's in the room.
Thank you so much, home base band. One more time, round of applause. Okay, so that's all that we have in our program for tonight. Just one more slide. So, some of you may have seen it. We posted it just 2 days ago, but we're serving ice cream tonight. So we have boba and ice cream. But if you guys remember correctly, during activities we said that whichever team won, they would get a free scoop of ice cream. Do you guys remember that? No? Okay. Well, there's a team that won. So if I could get a drum roll before I announce them. It was Eva's team! Yeah! So that is, if we have it correct, is Eva, Yejin, Homare, Keita, Rebecca, Taketo, and Hiro. You guys get a free scoop of ice cream, so please go down there by the bar. We have some board games as well, so you can stay and play around, or you can just talk to your friends. That's all that we have for tonight. Thank you so much, and see you next home base. Oh, yes, sorry, almost. We do need more volunteers, actually. We're shorthanded. So if you're good in the kitchen, please help us out in the kitchen. Or if you're good at editing videos, or you're just a funny guy who's creative with videos, we also need you because we need to continue our social media, and we're looking for someone who can take on that, edit some videos, make some content for us. I believe that's everything. Yes. Have a great August, everyone. Thank you.